Scrolling through TikTok in the last few weeks has presented me with the audio Hot Summer Nights in mid July, no fewer than 150 times, I would say. And it got me thinking, like, wow, we really are already in mid July. I feel like summer is just flying by, and I would like to take a pause, take a moment to catch my breath and catch up with you guys. I like to do these kind of life update catch up episodes every once in a while so you can hear a little bit more about what's going on in my life in between podcast episodes. And it just feels the same to me as a good long FaceTime catch up with an old friend. I'm really excited just to yap and catch up with you guys. So it'll feel like FaceTime energy if you're watching on YouTube today, or like a long overdue phone call if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you guys listen. I'll be updating you guys on my summer bucket list, what my progress is on that, what I've been buying lately. I feel like I've had a big case of the shoppies, which is probably more shopping than someone with my budget should be doing, and also what I'm looking forward to for the rest of the season. I've got a large cup of coffee in hand, so grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's catch up. First up, of course, is our create and consume segment that we do in every episode of the podcast. So for what I've been creating this week, I actually had a wedding on Sunday, which I'll talk about a little later in this episode. And I just have to say, I think I've finally mastered my perfect like wedding guest makeup routine or whatever special event or occasion it is. I could not stop staring at photos of myself and my glam. I was so happy with how it turned out. And I feel like a wedding is one of those occasions where I really like to just step it up and also have fun and use more colorful or playful things than I might typically use in my normal day to day, just because it is a special occasion and a celebration. I can include a photo of the makeup in the blog post for this episode. If you guys don't know, by the way, there is a blog post that correlates to every single episode of the podcast on createandconsumepodcast.com. So they essentially act as episode recaps where you can find anything I link in any episode. If you heard me talk about something in an older episode and you're like, what the heck was that? I kind of remember that she mentioned it, but I have no idea when. You can search keywords on the website to find things in old episodes. So I have been trying to build it, and hopefully it's a really good resource for you guys. So that is always linked in the show notes. So yeah, I can definitely share a photo on the blog post, and I already linked all the products that I used over on my LTK, so those will be easily accessible. If I could call out three highlights from the makeup look though that I think really made the look great. Number one is the House Labs foundation. I can't shut up about this. It is my favorite full coverage foundation. It's actually more of a medium coverage, but you can build it up, and I just think it looks so pretty on the skin. Another thing was the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize eyeshadow. I actually also wore this for my wedding. I just think it's the prettiest, most shimmery, perfect pink, and I love that I can basically just do like a wash of color of it on my lid, and that can be the look in and of itself. And also the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush. This is the powder one, and it's in Selena's shade called Cheer. And it's just extremely like peachy pink, sparkly, fun. Absolutely love. And then for what I'm consuming this week, I am going to give you guys kind of like a summer watch list in this episode of more things that I've been consuming as well. But one thing that I finished a couple weeks ago that I realized we never talked about was Jury Duty Presents Company Retreat. Now, Andrew and I watched the first Jury Duty when it came out, and we thought it was so hysterical. And in fact, we've gone back to rewatch it, I think definitely once, maybe twice. Just whenever we're like having one of those weeks or we need a good laugh, it is literally so funny and so heartwarming. I do love James Marsden as well. And then the celebrity guest in the second season, I won't spoil who it is if you haven't seen it yet, but everything is just like so funny. It's so well timed. It's so convincing. And I really loved the hero of this season just as much as the first. And honestly, this seemed logistically way easier to pull off than Jury Duty. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is basically a reality concept where everyone is an actor except for one person who believes that everything around them is reality. So in season one, they had a guy who ended up on a sequestered jury that was being filmed like for a documentary. That seemed a lot harder to coordinate with all of the government buildings and stuff. And like, how do you fake the jury duty letter? I don't even know. And then this one seemed way easier to fake, which was this company was looking for like a temporary assistant for their company retreat. So they basically just had to rent like a regular office, and then they filmed on this gorgeous retreat property in California. The logistics of this show are crazy. And when they actually showed like how much bigger this season was compared to the original season of Jury Duty, my mind was kind of blown. So anyway, you guys know I love reality TV in basically any format. And this is one of those ones that just makes me wonder if I'm being filmed by someone, you know what I mean? I mean, other than all of the intentional filming that I do for myself. So let me know what you guys have been creating and consuming this week as well. All the ways to get in touch are always in the show notes. And with that being said, let's get into this midsummer check-in. And I kind of feel like I want to back up all the way to our Nantucket trip, which actually happened at the beginning of June. But I also want to mention for purposes of this episode that my summer, for me personally, is from Memorial Day through Labor Day. And then after that, we are in fall, as far as I'm concerned. So our trip happened the second week of June, which again, I consider that summer. And I already did do a vlog on my YouTube channel where I kind of documented the whole trip. And then I did a travel guide on my blog where I listed out exactly like where we stayed, what we did, the full itinerary. So if you guys want access to either of those two things, I will be sure to link them in the show notes. But I thought for purposes of the podcast, I could tell you like my top 3 highlights of the trip, especially now that I've had a month to reflect on it. One of my favorite things that we did on the trip that truly made me feel like I was just getting to tap into like the lap of luxury that exists there was truly our morning spent in Sconset. So Sconset is on the eastern side of Nantucket Island, and that is where many of Nantucket's billionaires live. The homes are like really gorgeous, sprawling, spread out. If you've watched any of the 5-Star Weekend yet on Peacock, basically like that vibe is what we're talking about. And it was just such a beautiful area. And obviously, like, we were not living quite so large as to spend a lot of time in that neighborhood, but it was really fun to spend a morning there. We got to walk by Sconset Market. We also went on the Bluff Walk, which is really cool because it's a public walkway, but you basically get to go through the backyards of all of these expensive homes. And so in some ways it feels like you are getting to tour all of these gorgeous houses, which was really fun. And they all have that faded like cedar shingle side. So the cedar gets really weathered and gray, and that gives the homes on Nantucket their kind of iconic and very uniform look. If you look at the island, all of the buildings are made of that. So we did the Bluff Walk in the morning, and I was actually surprised by how warm it was. And I'm glad I didn't end up bringing a sweater with me as I initially was thinking I would, because the one thing I will note about that is there is basically no shade on that walk. It is very much like in the sun. So if you're there on a warm day, I would definitely suggest doing it pretty early in the day or maybe even like around sunset. And after we did the Bluff Walk, we had lunch at a gorgeous restaurant called the Chanticleer, which my parents have been to many times. And my parents actually did their honeymoon on Nantucket many years back. So they have been going to Nantucket for years. They definitely were there before it, kind of blew up in the way that it has in the social media era. And I always thought that that was like very cool of them to just be in the know of Nantucket basically before everyone else. And so whenever they come to Nantucket, they make a point to get a meal at the Chanticleer. And it has this beautiful rose garden out front, which was where we sat. We got seated under like the covered area, and it was so nice. I had these mussels that were amazing. Like the buttery sauce that they were in was just unbeatable, and the fries were extremely tasty as well. And it was just the nicest morning. We actually ended up Ubering there, but then we were able to take the free wave shuttle back. And if I had been like paying more attention / figured out the timing better in the morning, we easily could have taken the wave there. And the wave is a free shuttle on Nantucket, and it's such a great way to get around, especially because Ubering can be really expensive. And the reason they have the free wave shuttle is because a lot of people like to try to bring their cars to the island, but it gets really, really crazy because the island was never meant to accommodate so many cars. So they have the shuttle to encourage people to like use that and use the public transportation rather than driving, which as someone who lives in a city anyway and does that every day, I was all here for. Okay, another highlight was the book tour that my mom and I did. So we have both read a couple of Ellen Hildebrand novels each at this point, and I saw from the girls in my book club who went to Nantucket last year that they did the Blue Book Tour, which Ellen's sister, Heather, actually hosts. So not only was it a great way to learn more about Ellen's novels and hear some of the inspiration behind it and see the places that really inspired things within the novels, but it was also just such a great way to like tour Nantucket and get around the island. And I loved that my mom and I did it the first afternoon that we were there, because it really gave me like a lay of the land where I was like, oh, okay, so like Sconset's this way, out that way is like Bartlett Farms and Cisco Brewery, and then back this way to the main town. Like it really helped me orient myself. And it was fun to learn, again, not just about Ellen's novels, but about the history of Nantucket. There's a lot of like preserved land on Nantucket that we drove by, a lot of historic inns. We got to see, the area in Sconset where Ellen had her wedding, where one of her first novels was based on. So I just really enjoyed that tour. And it ended at the chicken box where we had a little champagne toast, which was so cute. I think the boys could have come along potentially, the boys being my dad and Andrew, two grown men. I should not be calling them boys. But if you want to ditch whoever you're with and go by yourself too, there was a woman who was there alone. You could totally do that. And lastly, I wanted to shout out the incredible 3 dinners that we had, all of which were walkable around our hotel, which was great. And we went to Ventuno on our first night, which was Italian. Just so delicious. I got a Frito Misto to start, which was fried calamari, as well as a couple of other things. And then I got the risotto with sea scallops. Like I didn't even have to like look this up just to tell you what it was. I still remember it because that's how good it was. And then the second night we went to Lola 41, which is kind of seafood and Mediterranean inspired. So they actually had a lot of sushi on the menu, which I was excited about. So I ended up getting the ashi roll as my main, which had salmon. And then we shared a couple of appetizers. I'm pretty sure we ordered spring rolls. We definitely got the fried rice as the side. And that plus like a nice crisp glass of white wine to me is a perfect dinner. And lastly, we went to the Proprietors, which is all kind of shared plates style. So it's tapas like, but it's new American cuisine. I don't even know where to begin with that. Everything we got was good. We had a funnel cake that was amazing. We had tuna tartare. All of the drinks were so good. All 3 amazing experiences in terms of atmosphere, in terms of service, in terms of the food. Like, when you're spending a lot on dinners, as you do in Nantucket, it feels good to feel like the experience was truly worth it. And I think we could easily say that for all 3 of these restaurants. And again, if you want like the full itinerary, everything else is in the blog post, which will be in the show notes. But I did just want to like circle back on that trip because I'm just so grateful that I got to do that, especially with Andrew and my parents. It's really nice to be able to do a trip like that together as a family and travel together and just get to spend time together, because I just value time spent with all 3 of them so much. And we just had the best time. Already trying to scheme and figure out how I can get us back there next summer. Okay, let's move on and chat about the apartment, as in where I live. So we're actually coming up on like the year anniversary of when we began renovations on our apartment. And I might do kind of like a 1-year update at the end of September, timed with when we actually ended up moving into this apartment. So if you guys have any questions about that, like the first year in the apartment, any like renovation, things I would have done differently and things like that, please feel free to reach out. Let me know what they are, because I do think it would be good to do an episode like that and kind of do like a 1-year check-in or update. And otherwise, though, I have just been absolutely loving living here. Like, I just wake up every single day and feel so grateful for this space. I feel so grateful to be in Hoboken. I feel so grateful just every time I look around the room and everything. Like, the fact that I'm sitting filming in like my own home office right now, like I still get choked up just thinking about it and thinking about the very early days of like blogging from my bed in Brooklyn, because I didn't even have room for like a small desk in that room. And then when we got our first like little tiny desk in the Queen's apartment, and then in our first Hoboken apartment where I actually had like a whole wall for my desk and I could hang up a gallery wall and actually like film content of me working and stuff, to get to this point now where like there's a home office that I get to sit in, and like this is my podcast studio and this is where I get to work and create things for you guys. Like, oh, I could go on and on about how grateful I am to have this space. And obviously, not just this room, but like the living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, both of the bathrooms. I just feel so at ease here, and I just feel so safe and like relaxed here. And I feel like that's all you would ever want out of your home. And it's amazing to me that we were able to stay in Hoboken, that this all worked out the way that it did. And so overall, the vibes are very high here. And I'm just feeling very grateful and lucky and feeling like we made the right decision for us 100%. Now, aside from general good vibes, I thought I could just update you on a couple of things that I've recently purchased for the apartment and a couple of things that are still on my list and that I hope to acquire like at some point during the summer. So, firstly, I have made some major upgrades to our closets, to both of them, and they feel major, but they actually are very minor and very inexpensive, which I'm very happy about because, again, last year with all the renovations and stuff, that didn't come cheap, obviously. So, where I've been able to, I've just been trying to find the easiest and most cost effective solution to what will make our apartment more functional and better for us. Starting with the closet in the primary bedroom, I actually, a couple of weeks ago, did a huge declutter. I filmed that as a vlog on YouTube. I can link it in the show notes if you want to actually like see that process where it felt like I cut the closet in half, essentially. Like, I really did get rid of stuff that I was just no longer wearing. I tried on a bunch of stuff that I wasn't really sure about. And if something didn't fit, I didn't hesitate. I kind of just passed it on. And I've either been able to donate locally. There are a bunch of clothing drop off bins in my area, which has been great. And I've also listed a couple of things on Poshmark. And I also was able to just do a drop off with the Loop, which is Hoboken's local closet resale company, which has been awesome. So they actually just sent me a payout for the items that I dropped off on Saturday, which is amazing. And they are going to sell that stuff at their next pop up. I can link the Loop in the show notes if any of you guys are local. And so, after getting rid of a bunch of things, and Andrew actually also went through and did a declutter too, I felt like once that was done, I had a much better sense of like, what do we actually need here now? And we were talking about it, and really it just came down to shelving was like the biggest thing. So, what I've been doing actually is keeping an eye out on Facebook Marketplace, especially in my local Hoboken groups, for anyone who's been listing basically like those IKEA kind of cube storage organizers, which we already have one of them in the closet already. It was something I had bought when we first moved into our other Hoboken apartment. That's like a 9 cube, just white, basically just picture a white grid with 3 down, 3 across. That is on the wire rack in our closet, and that holds all of my handbags and accessories and things like that. When I first bought it, though, I could not get over how expensive it was, especially considering that it wasn't even like real wood, that it's just that fake wood, and how hard it was to assemble. Like, you'd think it would be easy, but for some reason it ended up being very difficult. So, because of that, I've just been keeping an eye out on Facebook Marketplace for when people are moving and getting rid of those things. And I had 2 strokes of luck back to back. One was for a 3 cube organizer, just like that, and another was for a 6 cube organizer, just like that. And obviously, since I already have the 1 cube organizer, I gave both of those to Andrew. And the difference that it's already made just in the visual of how the closet is organized has been so staggering. And I think one was on sale for $20 and one was on sale for $25. And that was just like the cheapest, easiest thing because I didn't even have to assemble it. And somehow they both ended up being in walking distance from me. Like, one was literally from a building 2 down from us, and then another one was just like a 10-minute walk for me to pick up. So we got super lucky in that regard. Love Facebook Marketplace for that. And then another cheap solution that I found was on Amazon. I ended up just buying another bamboo shoe rack to go at the bottom of our closet. So now we have 2 next to each other, and now everything holds almost all of our shoes. Somehow Andrew ended up acquiring another pair of shoes like after I did this. So there's usually like 1 or 2 that ends up on the floor at this point. But before there were like 10 or 15 pairs of shoes on the floor, and now there's a lot more room for everything. I can link the exact organizer that I'm talking about in the show notes too. And then the 2 other things that I got for the primary closet were hat hooks. So I got these kind of like L-shaped hooks that sit flush against the wall like this. I'm trying to demonstrate if you're watching on YouTube doing a bad job. But basically, with the L-shaped hook, what you do is you loop the back of the baseball cap over the hook, and then you can stack as many as you want on there. And ours were originally in the front closet, taking up a lot of room. So what I've done now is I've put the majority of them up on those hooks in the closet, and I've kept the 2 that I wear most frequently, baseball caps, and Andrew's done the same, in the front closet. So that way we still have easy access if we're just running out and want to grab a hat, but it's not like every single hat that we own is right there, taking up a lot of space and making it impossible to shut the front closet door, which was what was happening earlier. And then one other thing I got Andrew was a belt hook that kind of looks like an octopus. So it's just a little hook hanger that hangs right on the rack with the rest of his clothes, but it has a couple of different extra hooks hanging off of it that he can hang his belts on. So that's been working out as a storage solution for him. I'm thinking about getting one for myself potentially too. And then two other things that I bought for this closet here in the home office slash guest room are number one, two wire shelves from Closet Made that can basically hang on the existing wire rack in here. This has just created a little bit of extra storage room. I still need to like rearrange things in here and figure out exactly like what's going in there. And then another thing I purchased, and this was actually right next to me, so I have it with me if you're watching on YouTube, are these large clear zippered storage bags. And I got these for all of our extra pillows that were in this closet because number one, I didn't really want the pillows just like in there without a covering or some kind of protection. Basically, with our previous apartment and our previous bed, we used to have a queen size bed. We've upgraded to a California king since moving here. And so we have 4 queen size pillows, and then we have 2 extra king size pillows in this closet. So I just wanted some way to contain them all and keep them, safe and protected and everything. And this came in a 4-pack on Amazon. I can also link these in the show notes. And this has just been genius. And they also showed on Amazon, like you could use these for like Christmas ornaments. You could use these for comforters, bedding, linens, like whatever you need. And I like that it just keeps everything together. And I was able to put them both all the way up on the top rack now. So now they're not taking up like more valuable, accessible storage on the bottom of the closet. I do still think we need a little bit more shelving in there to make it even more functional, but for right now, we're already doing so much better, and I just feel so much more organized having purchased all those things. And then decor-wise, here are a couple of like fun things that I'm trying to keep my eye out for this summer. So number one is a new coffee table for the living room. We have had the coffee table that we have now since Queens, so since 2019, definitely have gotten good use out of it. The reason I'm thinking about switching it out is number one, now we have the L-shaped couch, and I feel like the long kind of ovalish shape of the coffee table is not necessarily the best functionality wise for the L-shaped couch. And then the other thing is I was thinking about trying to get a coffee table that had a pop-up with it because in this apartment compared to our previous Hoboken apartment, there's not really room for a dining table. So that's kind of the one thing that we gave up moving into this apartment. So we do end up eating a lot of meals on the couch. And I just feel like having the pop up and actually being able to like eat without holding my plate up to my face and shoveling my food in, Michael Rappaport on Trader style, if you know, you know. I feel like that would be a little more ladylike. And if I can also get one with a pop-up, that would also mean that there's storage in the coffee table. And I just feel like that would be good to maybe put like some games in there or I don't know, just extra blankets or whatever we actually need. And then also another storage solution that popped into my head because of something I saw on Facebook Marketplace that I then missed out on because I was traveling and I didn't respond back to the person in time, which was completely my fault, was to get a storage bench for our living room. So we do basically have it's not really like a blank wall in our living room, but it is basically like a wall of windows. And underneath the windows right now, there is nothing there. And I'm not really trying to like add a lot more there. I like that there's kind of a blank space, but what I thought would be good to get was like a storage bench to go under the window because number one, it would be extra seating if we have guests over. People could like perch on the storage bench at least. And then number two, I could get something, kind of cream colored. Like the walls in our apartment are mostly all painted this color, except for the primary bathroom, which is, I believe, almond latte from the Bear paint brand. But anyway, I figured if I could get something cream that kind of blends in, that would be a nice way to like add storage, add seating, but not kind of be visually distracting to the eye, if that makes sense. I think I was maybe an interior designer in a past life. I did watch a lot of HGTV growing up, so there's that. So anyway, I've kind of also just been keeping an eye out on Facebook Marketplace for a storage bench. I think I would ideally like something fabric and something cream colored, so it would have to be in good condition. The one I saw was like a really pretty boucle material from CB2, and so I think I kind of have that in the back of my head. And if I don't find something soon that I can get secondhand, I might consider purchasing something like that new, especially with wanting a fabric piece versus, I feel very confident buying things made of wood or fake wood, as the case may be for my recent Facebook Marketplace purchases, secondhand versus fabrics. I just feel like it's usually a safer bet. Another thing that I've been thinking about for a while is the front door situation. So we already have our gorgeous entryway, like console table and art on the left side when you walk in. On the right side, there is kind of like a narrow wall right next to the door. And I have been thinking that I would like to either get like a little mirror or like a shelf with hooks or something to just go right by there so that we could like hang our keys on there, put a pair of sunglasses on the shelf or something. And then I also saw a girl on TikTok, I want to say, who had this like little wicker basket hung up on the wall, and she actually put her mail in there. And I kind of like the idea of that because right now I just like toss mail on the counter. Every once in a while, too, there's like a bill or like something that you need that you don't really want to like file away, but you kind of just want to have out for when you do need it or whatever. So I don't know. I just feel like having a little mail basket would help contain the clutter, and having it like mounted either on the wall or the back of the door would be like an easy way to do that. And then the last thing that I've been looking for a while, and I haven't actually like looked on the internet. I've kind of just been thinking I would either stumble upon the right thing, like thrifting or even at like a home goods type place, is a new utensil holder for all of the like spatulas, whisks, kitchen utensils that I have next to the stove. Right now I have two smaller holders, and I actually like want to get rid of some of the utensils just because they're kind of hard to clean. Like I had gotten a set of them at some point, and it's not true silicone. I don't know how to describe it, and it just ends up being really hard to wash and clean. Like we'll both wash the same spoon like 3 times and there still seems to be stuff on it. So kind of want to swap some of my utensils at some point as well. But also for the holder, right now, like I said, I have two smaller ones, and I just am picturing in my head kind of like a beautiful antique like vase or jug or something that can hold all of them, and that'll look really pretty against the quartz countertops. So yeah, those are what I'm looking out for right now. Let's move on to a little summer content. What do we want to call this? Syllabus, summer content diet, summer content watch list. I don't know. I'm just going to share a bunch of things that I have been consuming, like a little bit more rapid fire than I typically do in the Create and Consume segment, and that I think you guys would probably enjoy too. First up, I already mentioned in this episode, but that is the 5-Star Weekend adaptation that is on Peacock. So the 5-Star Weekend is a novel by Ellen Hildebrand that has been adapted for TV. I believe it's just going to be this one limited series because obviously it covers the span of the content in the book from my understanding of it. I have just watched the first episode so far, but oh my God, I am absolutely loving it. The 5-Star Weekend is definitely my favorite Ellen novel that I've read so far, and I just feel like this show was perfectly cast. I love just looking at all the Nantucket stuff. I love seeing all of the storylines start to kind of unravel and come together, and I am just thoroughly enjoying it. Like seeing your favorite book come to life on screen and having it done so well is such a treat, because obviously I know there are a lot of adaptations that people don't love as much, but oh, just so much fun. Okay, another one is Gossip Girl. And obviously, this is not new, but what I decided a couple of weeks ago was, if I start my Gossip Girl rewatch, which I usually watch, once a year, I would say, if I start my Gossip Girl rewatch early, I could be watching the Hamptons episodes by midsummer, which is exactly where I am right now. I'm like at season 2, episode 2, peak Hamptons white party drama obsessed, and potentially then have them start college right as September rolls around if I space this out correctly. So far that is working out well for me. I know people think of Gossip Girl as a fall show, and I kind of do as well, but starting it around like Memorial Day was actually a genius idea. On that note, though, I do want to rewatch The Summer I Turned Pretty. I waited specifically from the time the last episode aired last year, and I was so tempted to go back from the beginning and watch the whole thing again. And I said, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till like Memorial Day 2026, and then I'm going to dive back in. And I haven't done it yet, but I am going to do it at some point. So stay tuned for that. I also just finished my third Emily Henry novel called Happy Place. And this is a kind of like a fake dating trope. What ends up happening is a girl is really looking forward to a weekend at a beach cottage in Maine that one of her friends' families owns, and she ends up, she's like a what am I trying to say? Resident. She is going to be a doctor. She's a resident at a hospital. She's really looking forward to this break. She shows up at her friend's home, and they surprised her with her fiance being there. But what her friends don't know is that she and her fiance actually called off their engagement 5 months ago. So she ends up, sharing a room and being stuck with her ex for the entirety of this friends trip. And the stakes are kind of raised when they find out that her friend's family is selling the house. And so this is going to be like the last group trip that they all do together. So she's trying to hold everything together. There's so many other like secrets and friendship dynamics and things that come out throughout the book. And I just found the whole thing like very touching and relatable and raw. And I really did enjoy this book. I think that for me, Book Lovers is still at the top, but for me, Funny Story and Happy Place are like right behind it. You know what I mean? So I've been enjoying all of these books so far. I am trying to think what the next one I want to read by Emily Henry is. There's obviously People We Meet on Vacation, which has been adapted for Netflix this year. And then I do have Great Big Beautiful Life actually here. I won like a contest and I got sent that book, which was exciting. And then what's the other one that people recommend? Beach Read. So I still definitely have more to go in the MHen universe, but I'm feeling good with 3 down right now. So I definitely would recommend it, especially if you, I don't know, have like a place that you always go back to every summer that you're nostalgic for. I actually like don't really have a place like that, but I enjoy reading about places like that, hence why I liked Happy Place and also why I love The Summer I Turned Pretty, that whole series. Okay, 2 podcast episodes that I enjoyed that you guys will love, especially if you like this podcast. So one is Let's Get Dressed by Liv Perez, and she had a guest on last week to talk about in between outfits, like what you wear when you are, not just like at an event or like going to work, but like what do you wear in your real life? And I actually just loved the conversation. I loved the guest as well. I really need to like sign up for her Substack. I think her name was Gabby. And I just always find their conversations so fun. I feel like Liv is a great combination of an interviewer who can actually get a good answer out of a question, but also a good conversationalist who can banter and kind of talk about all the in between stuff too. And then if you guys also love books, the Bad on Paper podcast, I'm sure I've mentioned it on here before. If you don't read a lot, but you still are like looking for other podcasts, I do recommend their 3 Things series. So I just listened to their July 3 Things episode and they had such a fun conversation. They talked about like a variety of things. They talked about Taylor and Travis's wedding. They also always do just like a little life catch up and whatnot at the beginning of the episodes. So I just really enjoy the 2 of them. And then music wise, I did just replay the entirety of Life of a Showgirl post Taylor and Travis's wedding, as a tribute to her showgirl era, of course. But I have also been branching out this year, you guys. Are you proud of me? I mean, I'm branching out to like 2 other large mainstream artists that I'm going to tell you about right now. But one is Olivia Rodrigo's album that just came out, which is You Seem Pretty Sad for a Girl So in Love. I particularly love Maggots for Brains, You Plus Me Equals Heart, and The Cure. And then I've also been listening to Harry Styles' album, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. I was driving last week and I asked Siri to play it on Spotify. And I said, oh, can you play like Harry Styles, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, now playing Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally on Spotify. Like, Siri, girl, you're putting the enunciation on all the wrong words here. But it's just so like dancey and fun. I really love Aperture, and I also really love Carla's song. It's just very catchy and very Harry Styles coded, of course. And we also have not had a chance to discuss Love Island, which just ended about a week ago, I want to say. And I think that I had pre-recorded the episode that came out right after the season ended, so we didn't get a chance to like recap it. Okay, so this was my first time watching Love Island live, like as it was happening. And I have to say, it was kind of easier than I thought it was going to be. The thing that really saved me and actually helped me stay on track was the fact that the episodes were dropping at like 8:36 p.m. Eastern time versus 9 o'clock. Like that extra half an hour makes a big difference to me as a sleepy girl who likes to have her eyes shut by 9:30 ideally. like in all seriousness. And so sometimes I would be able to watch like the majority of the episode the night before, and I would have to stop with like 15 minutes left and watch the next 15 minutes in the morning and just kind of like avoid threads mostly, but also Instagram and my texts somewhat. But yeah, I feel like I didn't get to talk about the experience of watching. Even I was texting with Tanisha and she was like, wait, I didn't know you were watching. I could have been talking to you about it this whole time. And I was like, I guess I didn't really like tell anyone that I had actually committed to doing it. And I wasn't really like live threading or making any content about it in the interim, just because this was my first time ever watching live. And I am so hesitant to like put opinions out into the world when I know that they're going to be like contradicted or proven wrong a couple episodes later. So I basically just wanted to experience this season as like a fan of someone watching. And I can't believe like that this season I think has been the biggest one yet. The fact that the app crashed during the first vote that they had open and they had to like extend voting because they couldn't accommodate all the people who were voting. I feel like I can freely discuss spoilers now since the show has been over for a couple of weeks, which is that Trinity and Bryce won this season, and I was really like rooting for them through this whole thing. And I feel like the right people won. Like, I feel like the way that they both talked about their backgrounds, and Trinity had said, you know, this doesn't happen to people where I come from, and Bryce had been talking about taking odd jobs to support his modeling and DJ career, and he had been most recently talking about like fixing up garbage trucks just because like that's what he had to learn how to do to make money. And I just feel like we made the right people famous from this. You know what I mean? I also love that Anaya and Carl are going to have their Nantucket family vacations. And Anaya and Carl, if you happen to be watching this or listening to this, I can send you my recent Nantucket itinerary that I've already plugged 6 times in this episode. I mean, Trinity, as of the time I'm recording this, already has over 6 million cumulative followers across platforms. Melanie is like right behind her. She has over 2 million on Instagram. And when I look at something like Love Island and then I look at something like The Bachelor, it is crazy to just look back on how much the Bachelor franchise specifically had villainized the use of social media as being for the wrong reasons. And then contestants like follower counts diminishing over the years when they've gone on a show like The Bachelor versus Love Island, where social media is so part of the conversation and encouraged that something like this can happen where Trinity walks out with 3 million followers, and where who was even the most recent Bachelor? Was it Grant? Have we not had a Bachelor season since Grant Ellis? There's no way that man has more than like 300K on Instagram, if I had to guess. So I'm just saying, if you want to go on a show and go on with the intention of becoming an influencer, you're going to want to go on Love Island. You're not going to want to go on The Bachelor. And in fact, you can barely even go on The Bachelor because is that show even coming back? Allegedly it is. Allegedly they're casting for Bachelor season 30. Anyway, if you guys want to chat more about reality TV dating shows specifically, I did do a whole episode about that a couple of months ago, so I can link that one in the show notes where I talk a lot more about like the differences between Love Island, Love is Blind, The Bachelor, etc. But congratulations to the entire cast of Love Island season 8 for excellent television, for big gains on social media, and also just remember that these are real people and we see such a small fraction of their days that they spend filming in the villa on screen. So even if you have feelings one type of way or another about people, you don't need to send them mean messages or anything. Just like be respectful, and everyone has a chance to make up after leaving the villa. I have a whole other section here about what I've been buying, but this is on the sartorial front. Okay, so what I've been buying lately for my closet now that I did a big declutter and have room for new things, obviously. I did a big basics refresh from H&M. I did like a try on of everything I got in a recent YouTube vlog, so I can link it in the show notes if you want a visual of what I'm talking about. But basically, I had gone in and thrown out just a bunch of old like t-shirts and tank tops that had essentially seen better days. You know, just after a while, you're trying to wash them, you're trying to make the whites look whiter, and there's always just a little bit of residual stuff that like doesn't come out. So got a whole new basics refresh, and I ended up getting a couple of tank tops. I got some like ribbed t-shirts that I really like, and I'm happy that I was able to do that because I feel now as though I have a lot of good basic items that I can pair with like a good pair of jeans or a cute little mini skirt or whatever it is that I'm wearing that day. One category that I was kind of ruthless with in my closet declutter was denim. So I got very honest with myself about what fit but didn't feel good, and also just what did not fit straight up. So I ended up making two purchases from Abercrombie. I got another pair of the 90s relaxed jeans from them, and I do the curve love sizing for Abercrombie just because I like the extra room that it gives me in the hips. So I got like a dark wash pair of jeans, which I already have a light medium wash, and then I have a black pair. So now I have like a dark wash, and I feel like that kind of rounds out the denim rotation with them. And then I also got a pair of these loose denim shorts from Abercrombie, and I thought I was breaking up with denim shorts this summer, but this pair has changed my mind. They are just so comfy. I feel like they look cute. I feel like they give me even somewhat of a shape, which is amazing. And I want three more pairs of these, literally. And then, actually, luckily for you guys, as this episode goes up, the Macy's Black Friday and July sale is still going on. And I am a Macy's style crew member, so I work with them throughout the year. But I did just want to mention that this Black Friday and July sale, like, they have actually really good, not only really good brands, but like actually really good discounts. You know, when it's actually Black Friday and brands are like, here's 15% off, and you're like, that's not really that much of a discount, you know? Like, you could get that if you sign up for their emails on the right day. No, Macy's took those prices and said, we are slashing them. They're actually really, really good discounts. I saw a Coach bag that is over 40% off, and it's a black leather bag. Like, they're not even giving you the deal on like, oh, the turquoise color wave, or like something that you're not going to wear that often. Like, no, this is the real deal. This is a staple. Also, Franco Sardo footwear is on sale right now. Just so many good brands. And I actually did make three purchases last night. So I ended up buying a pair of Levi's shorts that look really similar to the Abercrombie ones that I just got. I did take a chance. I had to size up two sizes just because that was kind of recommended in the reviews, and also that was all that was available. So hopefully they fit and that I like them. But they were literally $30, like Levi's cutoffs for $30. I did buy a New York Giants baseball cap because I shockingly like don't have my own, and I know that I'm going to be going to a game in the fall. That was on sale too. And if you are looking for a baseball hat for any NFL team, the 47 brand hats are all on sale during this promotion. And then, kind of a wild card pick, I ended up getting this En Saison romper. I got rid of two rompers when I did my closet declutter, so I kind of had it on my list as like, oh, if I see one somewhere, like I would like to have a romper in my rotation to replace these with. And I don't know. So I'm going to try it on when it comes in. I think it'll actually come like tomorrow or Friday, which will be good. So we'll see. But I'll link all of my picks that I just mentioned in the show notes if you want to shop the sale. I mentioned my makeup for a wedding that we went to last weekend at the top of the episode, and I'll give you a quick little recap. So Andrew's cousin got married on Sunday, and this is a cousin who he basically grew up with. They're actually like just a month apart in age, and he was a groomsman for Andrew when we got married. So it was really fun to be able to, you know, for Andrew to be in the wedding party this time around as well. And it was really fun. It was at a gorgeous venue in New Jersey called the Palace at Somerset Park. And it is so massive that I pulled in and there was a guy like directing people. And I was like, oh, I'm here for the wedding. And he was like, which wedding? And I was like, oh, okay, this place has enough room for two different couples to get married at the same time. And it was a great day. So I ended up having a video of me asking which dress to wear to this wedding go viral on Instagram and TikTok. So that was interesting. I can link the video of the dress options if you guys want to see that. But basically, I was deciding between two super similar dresses, and I ended up going with the one that just fit better overall and that I could really dance in. No regrets, definitely the right decision. Absolutely love the dress that I wore. And actually, I had someone message me who I know who was like, oh my God, I wore the one that I didn't choose to a wedding. And she was like, it was literally falling down all night because the top part, and it was strapless, was like really, really loose. And that was my concern. And I said, thank you for telling me that. If I wasn't already swayed in the direction of my first gut instinct, then now I definitely am going with the first option. And it was essentially a pink and red strapless gown, and it just had these gorgeous ruffles all the way down. I felt like so fun in this dress. I just absolutely loved it. I wore my gold Cezanne kind of block heels with it, and just this little dainty gold necklace. I have literally been like sleeping in this one too. I haven't taken it off in like probably 2 weeks. I was going to wear a bracelet, but I somehow ran out the door without putting it on, so forgot that. But I think the rest of the look worked out well. I wore a pastel pink bag from Rebecca Minkoff that I've just had forever because I wanted to bring my like little vlogging camera. And it was just such a fun night. The cocktail hour at this wedding, oh, 10 out of 10. And as someone who like didn't get to spend as much time at their cocktail hour as they would have liked because we couldn't figure out how to bustle my dress because the snaps were so discreet that like we couldn't find them in all the lace. I just have vowed to always appreciate every wedding cocktail hour going forward. This one was just crazy. It was like a world tour of food. It was like, you want Mexican? It's over there. You want sushi? It's that way. Just so, so delicious. And I had a blast at this wedding. We danced all night. Food was great. I didn't really get to experience the drinks at all because I was driving that night. So I just had a glass of wine at dinner with my filet mignon. But their seltzer with lime was excellent, and they kept me very hydrated all night, which I appreciated. It was truly just so much fun. The bride and groom looked amazing. They had some outfit changes. The speeches were great. Oh, just truly a happy day. And it was amazing weather, which I feel very lucky for because Hoboken was like underwater the day before that, and it was monsooning. So it just as easily could have been bad, and I'm glad it was good. Okay, so at the start of summer, I made a summer bucket list, and I'm going to give you like a rapid fire update of how it's going right now. First on my summer bucket list was go to the farmer's market. Check. I've actually done that 3 times now. I've been to the Uptown Hoboken one twice, and I've been to the Jersey City Heights one once. Recommend both of them. Take a trip somewhere new. That is coming up next month, actually. Watch an outdoor movie. Hoboken is screening a bunch of outdoor movies. I need to put the dates of the movies that I'm actually interested in seeing on the calendar though, so I don't forget when they're happening. I put go on a long walk around the neighborhood / do a self-guided Hoboken history tour. So the Hoboken Historical Society actually has on their website like a self-guided tour you could do around the neighborhood. So in my head, my ideal vision for this is a Sunday where it's a nice day with like low humidity, where Andrew and I can pick up an iced latte and walk around and like do this together. I feel like it would just be a fun way to learn more about my neighborhood. Picnic by the waterfront. I did this with Devin, so I'm going to check that off. Go to a baseball game. We have already been to both a Mets and a Yankees game this summer, which I'm pretty impressed by. And I will be going to a Mets game with my dad because, spoiler alert, he's probably listening to this too, and he knows already. Usually for his birthday, I get him Mets tickets because that's just something we love to do together every year. I did have read 5 books on here. I think I've done 3 so far. I do still need to go shopping at a thrift / antique store for the apartment. I'm wondering if like some of the things I mentioned earlier I could find, secondhand or just something like more unique. I do still want to do like a summer hike upstate somewhere, visit a new museum or exhibition. I actually am going to check this off tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. Free kayaking on the Hudson River. We can do that in Hoboken. Haven't done that yet, but it is on the list. Attend an Italian festival is on this list, which is great because St. Anne's Festival starts today in Hoboken. Lake Day on the boat. We've done that twice already. And go to a rooftop / waterfront bar. We've done that as well. We've already been to City Bistro and Pier 13 this summer. So I am crushing the summer bucket list as far as I can tell. And last but not least, what else I'm looking forward to this summer. So still on the agenda is a trip somewhere new, which I obviously just said from the bucket list. So I am actually going with Andrew and his mom to Banff National Park in Canada next month. I am so excited for this. We did a kind of similar trip 2 years ago to Wyoming, and we went to Grand Teton National Park and Yellowstone. We actually did a similar trip to Wyoming to Jackson Hole about 2 years ago, and we did a lot of national parks. We did a lot of hiking, walking around, just being outside in nature. So super excited for this trip. I think it's going to be fun. My birthday is also coming up at the beginning of September, and I'm excited for it, but I'm not excited for it in the sense of like, whoa, I can't wait to like party. I don't know what it is. Like I did a group hang for my 30th at a brewery in the city called Torch and Crown, which I do recommend. It's in Soho. And then last year I literally went to a work event on my birthday. And as of right now, this year I have truly nothing planned and I'm happy about it. But it is going to be my Lorelai Gilmore / Carrie Bradshaw birthday because they were both 32 in season 1 of their shows. So I am really looking forward to that. I think I might actually do a podcast episode on like, just my Lorelai Gilmore year and what I'm thinking about being 32 and how I think about, life and success and aging and all of those things. So if there's anything you want me to talk about in particular in that episode, reach out and let me know. And then shortly after my birthday, technically like right at the end of summer, is going to be the Harry Styles concert in New York. And Caitlin is coming to visit for that. So I'm going with her and Andrew. We're going to have so much fun. I need to start like sourcing slash planning my outfit for that because I feel like that could easily be something that I thrift as well. And I am just really excited for this concert, and I've been really trying to like listen to the new album to get hyped. I need to go back in and though listen to like more of his old stuff too. I'm a Harry Styles appreciator. I don't know if I'm like a fan, but I think I'm becoming more of one just because he really is kind of one of those like once in a generation talents. And I think that seeing him live is going to convert me even more to being like a fan of his. So I'm super excited for his MSG residency. I'm ready to like have almost the Eras Tour vibes again back on my feed, seeing people's outfits and the excitement for the concert and seeing how each night is going to be a little bit different depending when you go. And I'm just so happy. I'm happy I won that Ticketmaster war. I'm still mourning that I lost the Hillary Duff Ticketmaster war, but we live to see another day. All right, guys, that does it for our summer catch up episode. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you all again next week.